Caitlin here, and welcome to a new video series that will be done about once a month or so in regards to Patreon. Now this is actually going to be a Patreon bonus. If you've checked out my Patreon before, whatever, I have different tiers of rewards and stuff, and one of my tiers, which I believe is the $10 tier, gives my patron the opportunity to suggest a video topic to me, and I will do a video covering that. So whether they want me to review some kind of TV show or film or YouTube video or something like that, or discuss some kind of topic or debate or anything like that and just give my little opinion on it, then I will cover that. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that I cover specifically on the channel, so it doesn't need to be like anime or Force of Will related or video game related. It can be literally anything, and I will discuss it to the best of my ability. If it's something I'm maybe not too sure about, I'll maybe do a little bit of research into it or whatever, but most of the time it will probably just be something that my patron is interested in and they'd like to hear my opinion about it. So this one is actually from my patron Alucard, who suggested the topic of discussing whether or not GamesCom should be hosted every year in Cologne, Germany. Now I found this to be a very interesting topic because obviously it's to do with the convention slash expo kind of scene and everything like that, and obviously I attend a lot of expos and conventions and everything, so I felt like it was a really good topic to discuss, which was a brilliant one this month, Alucard, so thank you very much for suggesting that. So going into it, I've heard of GamesCom on the cuff, like I've seen it online and stuff. I never actually really knew what was happening other than it's something about games. So I've never really looked into it too much because it wasn't in the UK as far as I was aware. So it was never like something feasibly that I would ever really look into. But I was looking up into it and I learned a couple of things, which is great because obviously when you're suggested new things to research and everything, you get to learn new things, which was really interesting. So I discovered that GamesCom has always been hosted in Germany, specifically in the Cologne region, if I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I am. There might be some German words or whatever that I tried to say, and my apologies if I pronounced them wrong. Obviously I'm not fluent in German or anything like that, but I find it really interesting because it brings up this kind of topic or whatever of locations in terms of conventions and whatnot, whether or not they should change location like every year or so often, or whether they should stay in the same place. Now, specifically with Gamescom, I can understand why there would be a desire for it to change location because video games are like a huge thing for everyone. Like you've got PAX, you've got Play Expo, which is mainly in the UK. You've got obviously Gamescom, which is mostly in Germany, and pretty much every year in Germany. There's so many different conventions to do with like video games and stuff, and obviously everyone would love to enjoy them. Pretty much video games are like a universal thing, everyone enjoys them, everyone would love to attend some kind of big event, big exciting event to see the latest games coming out, get to try them out, get to see what's coming from developers and everything, and it's great to be able to have that opportunity. And I can understand maybe some people's frustration if they don't live anywhere near one of these major cities that host such an event. Obviously PAX, like PAX East and everything like that, they're American ones, and Gamescom seems to be strictly a Germany-based convention or expo, whatever you'd prefer to term it as. And obviously some people would be disappointed that these kind of places don't travel, that they stay in the one static location. And I think it's a mix of different things as to why that would maybe be for the best. As far as I could tell, Gamescom is actually ran by a German company, which I'm not going to attempt to say the name of. I'm probably going to put the name of it at the bottom of this so that I don't mess it up or whatever, but you know what I mean. I believe they're a German-based and German-led company in terms of organising the event and everything like that, and sorting like venues and guests and blah blah blah, and allowing people inside. So it makes sense that if this event is organised by German people, that of course they would host it in their home country, aka Germany. It would make sense because obviously then they've got ability to, you know, converse with people about locations, about, you know, press, media and everything like that. Obviously they've probably got a very good grasp of English as well, because a lot of these companies or video game companies are maybe speaking in different languages, so you know, English, French, like all these like bilingual places that are like developing games and everything like that, it makes sense. Europe is a hotspot, and I feel like for this European, I suppose it's like European convention or expo because it is technically in Germany, which is part of Europe. I mean, it would make sense to host it in, say, quite a central location to other nations, because as it is, obviously Germany's on the main continent of Europe, and UK is often its own in a little island, but it's connected to all these different countries. So like, you know, there's France and there's Spain and there's Italy, you know, all that stuff. So it is connected to the majority of the rest of Europe. So I feel like it makes sense why maybe it has always been hosted in Germany, and obviously with it being led by a German-based company, it makes sense for it to never travel, because obviously if they traveled around and they maybe didn't have experience in other countries, like establishing different business relationships and everything like that, then yes, it would probably be a bit difficult for them to, do it in different countries. Now, maybe they could do it in different parts of Germany, like different states or kingdoms. I'm not too sure, because it's always in Cologne. Maybe some people would like it if it was held in different areas, although I don't know how feasible it is, or whether there's some kind of aspect of it where it has to be hosted in Cologne. As far as I'm aware, it's always been hosted there, or Cologne if I'm saying it right. As far as I'm aware, it's always been hosted in that part of Germany. I could be wrong, because I was like trying to glance through the different years or whatever. Mainly it was about attendance numbers. I didn't see anywhere that said it was hosted in a different city or a different area of the country. But it brings up a good point where obviously some conventions are just, you know, they are part of that area, they are instinctual to that area, or distinctive to that area is what I'd rather say. For example, D-Con wouldn't be held in like Manchester or something like that. D-Con is Dundee Con, essentially. It is the convention for the Dundee Union, the University of Dundee. It is like integral to that part of the country. So it wouldn't make any sense for that convention to be held in a different part of Scotland, or even in a different part of the United Kingdom. That would make no sense. Whereas MCM are different in this aspect that they, like MCN is like an entertainment company, or events company or anything like that. That's a completely different ball game, you know, because they actually have different operations, obviously different people managing the different countries, because you've got, well, they actually lowered the number of countries that they actually attend now, because I believe they used to have Northern Ireland and Wales, and I believe they cut those countries off of the list. I believe they cut another one as well. I can't remember which one. I believe it was another English-based one. But I believe the main ones they've obviously got now is they've got Scotland, thank God, for Glasgow. They've got London, they've got, I think they still have Birmingham, and they still have, is it Manchester or maybe Liverpool? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure they still have at least another English city as part of the MCM lineup. But that makes more sense from like a business standpoint, because they are like covering the whole of the United Kingdom, or the majority of the United Kingdom, now that they don't do Wales, I'm pretty sure. But they're covering over most of the United Kingdom with this, and they can do so because they are a large entertainment and events company, and they have the manpower, or like they claim to have the manpower, to be able to cover these different aspects, which is why they can spread themselves a bit thinner and not just focus on the one location. They can appoint different people to head these different countries and everything like that, and that's fine. I believe, I can't remember, there's a convention I had in mind that did change location occasionally, and I can't remember what it was. I believe if it's, is it Okinawa? I feel like Okinawa did have different locations, but I only had ever attended the very last Okinawa that was in Glasgow, so I don't know if it was ever held in a different part of Scotland, or if they ever went to England. I'm not too sure. I have a feeling that they did go to different parts of it, but you know, there's some places that it's just like, this con is like it is descriptive, or it is like, you know, defined by where it is held. Similar to Rycon, like so far Rycon has always been held in Glasgow, and I don't believe they've ever made plans to say that they're ever going to host it in a different city. Basically because Rycon is like, or Glasgow is the home of Rycon essentially, so I feel like maybe at that point, sometimes just conventions are defined by where they're held. It's the same with different American ones, obviously. BlizzCon, I believe, I can't remember where exactly BlizzCon is held. I'm pretty sure it's always held in the same place, if I remember correctly, because I can't remember differently if it's been held in a different place. But I feel like that's another one. Obviously, it's integral to the location and everything. So yeah, it is kind of disappointing when like maybe these conventions that you really want to go to never travel, they never go anywhere different, and maybe they're in a place that's a bit difficult for you to get to. I know myself personally that there's loads of places I would love to go, but maybe I just don't have the funds to like fly out anywhere. I really want to go to SunnyCon this year. But travelling down to, I believe Newcastle it is, or is it Birmingham? No, it's Newcastle, I'm pretty sure. But travelling down after, you know, all the trips I've done to Dundee, to London and all that stuff, I sadly can't go this year. It would have been great if like maybe there was a Scottish SunnyCon, because I believe they did say that they're going to have 2 SunnyCons or something and have it at a different location. If they ever did a Scottish SunnyCon, that would be brilliant. Whether or not they would do that though, I'm not too sure, because it feels like they are primarily an English-based convention, so it would make sense if they stayed in England. And it's just one of those difficult things where like, yeah, you would love it if this thing could come closer to you, but at the same time they need to look at like what they can organise, who they have contacts with, where, like how much money, their budget, things like that, like things that people like normal guests don't maybe, or even attendees don't even come to think when they want to go to convention. Most of the time maybe they're just like, oh, I wish I could go here, but it's not as close to me as I wanted, because, you know, people are thinking of travel plans, how much the travel's going to cost. Is it worth it to travel to such a place if you're going to have the same enjoyable experience? And I can understand that. I can totally get that. Like, there's so many conventions, heck, there's so many American conventions, and I've never been to America, that I would love to go, but I literally cannot afford the flight alone, let alone like paying the cost to stay in a hotel or travel anywhere, or, you know, convert my money into dollars and all this stuff. Like, literally, it is still one of my dreams to go to an American convention. I wouldn't know exactly which one because there are so many, but it would be a dream to at least go to one, like even just once in my life. It would be amazing. But yeah, I can understand the frustration of that, but I can also understand from a business point of view why these different like conventions never travel and why they seem to be static in their location. It just makes sense. Like, you know, now it's kind of built up that this Gamescom is like the hub of like, or one of the main hubs, because I believe it's like the second biggest for video game reveals and like video game conferences and everything like that. It's now just integral that it is in Germany now, like it's in Cologne all the time, and I don't feel like it's ever going to change anytime soon, unless maybe they do multiple events in the year, like maybe like 1 year they'll hold two instead of just the one. But I feel like with something like that, it's like, it's basically being like a mini E3 essentially, so maybe they don't need to do that, maybe they just need the one GamesCon. But I feel like maybe unless they would ever to do a second one in a year, so have two in a year, I don't think they would ever change location. Even then, maybe they probably wouldn't. They'd maybe like just keep it in the same place because that's what they're familiar with. They've, you know, built up this routine. They've got a comfortable setting in where they are, and they're happy with it the way they are, and they feel like this is how they're going to give it out to their attendees and everything like that, because they know what they're doing now. They've got the run of it, and this is how they're going to proceed with it. But I think this is a very interesting topic of discussion, guys. Let me know down below what you think. Do you think conventions should ever leave where they are, or maybe take a chance to like travel about? Or would you prefer, like, say if it's a convention that is always in the one location, would you prefer it to stay in that one location because, you know, it's providing security, you're confident about it, you're sure that it's always going to be there, so you have the option of it? Or would you like them to travel about? I mean, I'd be really interested to hear. Like, I know for a fact that there was a second G-Con last year. It was still in Dundee, but it was a different location because I don't think they had access to the student union at that point of the year. But let me know down below in the comments, guys. Let me know what you thought of this bonus Patreon video. Again, if you want to check out my Patreon, guys, the link is in the description down below. It's also linked on my front page for my YouTube channel. I finally figured out how to do that in the banner now. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Big shout out to Alucard for suggesting this topic, and I will see all you guys later. This video was made possible thanks to patrons such as Houston Moore, Alucard, and Craig McCutcheon.